Okay, welcome back for part 2 of the Votey Auction smart contract live stream. Things are pretty much where we left off last time. I actually had a bit of a whoopsies. I had a permissions issue with Windows subsystem for Linux. So I ended up actually losing all of the work that we did on the last stream, which was cool. So I just went ahead and did another rep. Gave me a chance to kind of go back through, watch the stream, and kind of redo everything that we did before. So just taking a look at where we left off, or at least where I left off afterwards. Everything looks pretty much the way it did before. I don't think I made any changes kind of on purpose. I really thought about doing something better with the destroy method, but we just left it as is because I figured I would show that to you if we do that for this. I think I added this, which is super useful. But yeah, otherwise we kind of left it as is. I remember last stream I kind of did something dumb here. For whatever reason, I seemed like super hooked on setting my auction settings here in the create auction collection method, which looking back on that was pretty silly. Just one sec. Because when we create our auction, we want to have something like we do want to have some sort of control over, you know, what the settings of that auction are. We might not want the bid increment to be 5 tokens every time. Maybe we're using a token with a smaller supply or a token with a larger supply, and you know, 5 is too much or too little to expect people to bid on every submission. So that at least gives us the flexibility to, you know, set our bid increment and our auction length in blocks every time that we create a new auction. So that was a silly oversight on my part. I spent a lot of time noodling around with that, so I just figured I'd touch on it. Yeah, otherwise it's pretty much where we left off. Pretty simple for now. We built the auction collection resource. We put in like the basic amount of fields that we need to have an auction, at least for now. We put in the basic amount of fields that we need to at least, you know, start setting up an auction queue, add our tokens to the auction, set their start prices, get them ready for voting when we do add that in. We created a method here, so this is actually going to be, no, that'll be a public method for sure. So this one we just created a method to change our start prices. So one of the things I've been working on lately is actually doing a little bit better job of creating methods that do one thing. Just makes your code a little bit cleaner and easier to read. So you'll see as we progress through the day, we'll start having more and more methods built here that do pretty much one thing. But as you read through the code, it's just a pretty logical progression from one method to the next. And you'll start seeing things like, you know, you're reading through this, you see this is new, but it's defined down here, and you can see what it means pretty quickly. And all this stuff should start to hopefully kind of read like a book. So, and then we added our get auction queue prices method here. So this is just a public way to check on the auction status. So let's have a look at what's in the queue and what the starting price is for everything. And that's pretty much where we left off last stream. So I didn't set all of this up and run through the transactions so I could show you what that looks like, because it's kind of a tedious process and we're going to end up doing that anyway, so further down the road here on this stream. So to get started today, I kind of tried to get a little bit ahead of the game and organize a bit of a to-do list. So we're going to put some methods in to start and update the auction. I would really like to get us ready to bid and vote on the tokens, so that actually would require building like a new resource for our I think what we'll do is we'll end up building like a vault style thing for our ballots, and our ballots can act like a fungible token. And this just allows our users to have more than one ballot at a time, and the mechanism will be pretty simple. They'll just burn a ballot if they're going to place a vote on a token that's in the queue. Just to reiterate what the whole voting idea and what we're actually building, just in case you weren't here last time, we're building an auction system where the user can submit a collection of NFTs. One NFT will be available for auction at a given time, and after a user bids on that available token, they will be given a ballot that they can use to vote on one of the other tokens in the auction queue to lift it up to have that token become available for auction next. So the idea is just to have these tokens kind of cycle through the auction queue, and eventually they would hopefully all be purchased, or the auction would just continue and continue. So just a little fun experiment. Like I said last stream, I have no idea if this will actually be fun, but it just seems like an interesting way to play with both, you know, a new style of marketplace and the voting functionality and flow. So, well, I should probably reiterate that part, the voting functionality that we can build into our smart contracts. So anyways, let's get rolling. I totally did code ahead yesterday and just give us a little bit more structure on this one. So as I work through these like to-do list items, I'll have a little bit of a cheat sheet to work from. The game plan is, once this is pretty much ready to go and we have our contracts built and our scripts ready to deploy, I will post a GitHub, a live repo that you can definitely pull and try to deploy on your own. I am going to do a pretty thorough job of trying to update the README so that the steps are really clear, because it is pretty intense, as you've probably noticed last stream, kind of running through the steps to get everything working, just from the smart contracts and emulator side. So anyways, let's get rolling. So we're going to start, I mean, the idea is we want to add our start auction method, so we want the ability to actually start the auction after it's been created. The start auction method will be special because it has to log the current block number that the auction is starting on, and then it handles like the most basic updating of the auction queue. So its first piece of functionality is to log the current block number, and its second piece of functionality, I should probably be writing this stuff down. So let me just do that. Let me just write some comments here, and then I'll explain it after I go. I'm gonna pop these down below. So it removes the token with the highest ID. Oops, number. Wow. From the auction queue, and puts it up for auction. I should probably put in while storing the start block, the current block number. So yeah, this will just be like a public way of getting the auction to start and then forcing that initial update of the auction queue. So when we create the auction, there's no actual current auction item up for bid. So this will basically put the auction in a state where we can actually start to bid on it, and it can be used. So this one is pretty simple. First thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to log the current block number. So what did I call that? Auction start block? No, I didn't call that anything yet. Oh yeah, I did. Okay, cool. Auction start block. And we're going to want to make that, what is this, get last latest. I have to check the docs for this bad boy. This part over here. This one might be in the GitHub. think it's in the GitHub. Cadence. Find that. One moment, please. Connect the normal docs. Oh, get current block. There we go. So this should, yeah, this should give us the a struct, which gives us a number field, which we can then store the current block number with. Okay, let me just find my way back to the editor here. Oh. Okay, current block. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to pop this into a variable to make this more clear. So current block. So that should store it. We're going to get the current, or see what we're doing. I think it's pretty clear, but current block, and I think height should be the value we want. I don't think it's going to give me any syntax highlighting until I deploy things. Actually, that's not true because I have deployed things. I just don't know if it's going to give me syntax hiding for that. So maybe I shouldn't have closed that docs page so quickly. Yeah, so we got block and then height down here, so that's a uint64, that's what we want. Cool. Keep that handy tab open for a bit. I'll just comment this here. Store current. Sorry for muttering. I think you can read that hopefully. Okay, so back to the code that I actually wrote. I totally forgot to actually log that when I wrote this the first time, so glad we did it. So then we're gonna just invoke another method. So I'm just gonna comment what we're doing here. Update the auction key, or update the current auction item from the auction queue. So that will just be a call to a new function that we're just about to create, or a new method, I should say. Yeah, we're doing it. That's it. Oops, I am totally copying my quote from up top. Adds the next token from the auction queue to the current auction array. Still not sure if like using an array for the current auction item is a good call. Yeah, this one is one that I'm gonna try just restricting access to the contract itself. I'll explain that in a second. So the whole idea here is to have I don't want the contract owner or anyone else for that matter to be able to like update the current contract item whenever they feel like. Like it should be something that is only done by the contract after the initial start. And that actually makes me think I should have a precondition here, which I don't think I've showed you before. But we can have these little precondition that checks, basically checks a rule before even starting or before even bothering to execute the body of the function. So what's cool about that is like because these are atomic transactions, it'll just basically tell it to say like, nope, we're not doing that, sorry, and you end up just going back to square one. The transaction never actually happens. So it's just a handy way. I think they're kind of like a require in Solidity. You just end up basically with a quick check that stops, you know, the function from executing. And I'm gonna be using them in a few places here, and again, totally open to suggestions from the Flow team or anybody else who has a better idea of how to structure things. But just nice to have that extra little safeguard in case somehow a method is getting executed when it's not supposed to be. So in this case for start auction, I want to make sure that the self current auction item has a length of 0. And if not, we'll just say their auction has already been started. So that's just a handy little way to say, hey, if you're running this a second time, don't. And I think that's cool, because I haven't really decided how we're going to handle the end of the auction yet, so that's good enough for now. Just basically prevents it from being run if the auction, or if the current auction item already has something in it. So that'll stop that from doing anything we don't want it to. This is going to be a method that only the contract can execute, so you'll see it's being executed from within this method. But the goal of doing it this way is so that I just can't call this method anytime and just change the auction item. Because that would also, unless I code a bunch of safeguards in here, that would also probably have some adverse effects on the auction itself and how things are settled. And yeah, I don't even know how that would work. I don't even know if the token that was currently up for auction would end up back in the queue. So this just saves us from a whole bunch of scary business. So we're going to do another pre-check here. We're going to go we're going to make sure that I got to remember if I did this backwards or not. Just a quick look. Yeah, okay. So it's what it should be. Then why would I have a pre-check in here? Now I'm confused by code I wrote last time. There really isn't a pre-check, I don't think. Because I'm going to basically... I guess I could check to make sure that the auction queue itself has more than one item. Yeah. We'll see if this one comes back to bite me. As I mentioned last time, I'm pretty new to like the system or the back end side of things, so I'm not haven't had a lot of practice of premeditating my mistakes before I make them. Part of the fun of this, though. Okay, so again, we're gonna kind of keep following the pattern of calling methods that we haven't created yet, but I'll comment them as we're going, and they should hopefully be named well enough that they make sense. So here we're going to create a new method called getNextTokenID. So this one's just going to handle the magic of figuring out which token from the auction queue comes up next. What I noticed when I was coding this the first time was I was getting into some hot water where we need to check if like the auction queue, if there are any votes, like if there's a token with more votes than the others, because then that would be the next token. Otherwise, we would need to just pull the token with the highest token ID out of the queue. So it just seemed, you know, for me, like I was writing a bunch of ugly stuff. Like the functions were just getting too big and doing too much. So what I decided was to kind of build these out into multiple methods that all kind of work together. So you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Almost forgot to do this last time too. Update the current auction price. Kind of important. It's kind of when I was building this the first time. That's why I decided to kind of start from scratch, because it was just starting to make such a mess of things that I figured I was going to really start leaving out some important functionality. I mean, I still might. So. Counting on you, my absent audience, to fill me in if I'm screwing up anywhere, so no pressure. Oh yeah, I didn't even add this in, I don't think. Kinda need the field. This is another place I'm going to look into access control, because I don't want somebody to just be able to come along and change this, but I'm pretty sure yeah, I might have to lock that one down, because I think the account, or like the contract owner, would be able to probably fudge with that and jack it up to millions or something before the auction is over. to initialize. And we'll just set that to 0 for now. And it is now happy, except for the method that doesn't exist yet, but that's okay. So start auction is done. I should probably keep up with our little to-do list. That's just a Trello list. Ooh. You update for me. You update. No? Okay. Just because we're live then. Alright, well, believe me, I have a list and I'm working from it. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked by my list now. So I'm just checking off. Yeah, we're still working in the update function, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Cool. Keep hiding the chat on myself too. I'll be better, I promise. Remove the next token from the auction queue. Yes, you beauty for writing notes for yourself. I have a feeling these streams are going to take a heck of a long time compared to if I was just hammering away in the darkness. So I apologize for that, but it's kind of fun to just have like a super passive hangout session, even if it's just with myself, talking to myself. It's a skill. But you know, I'd kind of rather do it this way than try to do it all in a rush and, you know, achieve a contract per stream. Things will start to speed up too once we start working with the SDKs and build ourselves a little bit of tooling. We actually had another, I should give a shout out to Open World Builders. Actually, huge shout out to Flo and Dapper Labs and everybody involved in NBA Top Shot. There's some huge news today. Really exciting for the Flo team. Like tons of big timers, like NBA players and all that, are backing like the NBA Top Shot project. So they just got another huge round of funding. So things just kind of took right off. They're celebrating with. From what I understand, there may be some pack drops. If you go find yourself in the Dapper Labs Discord, you might find yourself a way in. Let me see. Let me see if I can get you a nice little invite to Dapper's Discord. Well, you know what? I'll give you an invite to Flo's Discord, because that's even more relevant at this time. I'll pop that in chat. Okay, I'll pop this in the chat. So pop into Flow, introduce yourself, let them know why you popped into Flow, what you're interested in the smart contract space, and you know, if you're interested in checking out NBA Top Shot, someone in there might be able to help you find your way into the beta so that you can actually get your hands on some NFTs, some Flow NFTs. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. It's a pretty sweet little system that they've built over there already. Anyway, totally deviated, but the other thing that I was gonna mention is we had a pretty cool session in Open World Builders, which is like 8-week boot camp that the Dapper Labs and Flow team has put on for us, and just to, you know, let us get our first taste of the Flow ecosystem. So that's been going great. We had an awesome session with Kevin of the Truffle Suite today, where he was showing us some, basically just how far along the truffle suite has come. Like I used it, I think about a year ago now, to build like just a little tutorial project, kind of a Kickstarter clone on Ethereum in Solidity, and it was a really slick back then, but it just looks like they've just, you know, kept running with it and turned it into a really nice kind of boilerplate solution, and like continuous integration, continuous deployment, like all that stuff. Like they've started to work DevOps and teams into their market, so they've really ramped up their offering there on that side. So hopefully some more out-of-the-box tooling comes up. I know TryCrypto is doing a really good job too with their dApp starter package. So there's a bit of an arms race going on in the developer tooling sense. But until then, we're gonna work with the Flow client library, either the JavaScript SDK or the Go SDK, or a little bit of a combination of both, in order to try to get us up and running a little bit faster with these projects, so that you don't have to watch me wrestle with the VS Code emulator deployment. Because it is a time, you know, you only need to see it once or twice to get a little bored of all the steps there. So I'm itchy. I'm probably gonna get that done hopefully this weekend, so that we have a little bit more of a you know, an automated deployment process where you just get to watch the terminal say a bunch of happy things, as opposed to me running through a bunch of tabs and menus. Nice little sidebar there. Okay, so that's the gist of it. We're gonna check, make sure our auction queues have a token in it, or our auction queue has at least a token in it. We are going to run our get next token ID function, and that's going to decide whether we're going to go for the token with most votes or just fall back to the one with the highest ID. We're going to update the auction start price so that the start price from the new token replaces the current price of the old token that was just purchased. Otherwise, we'd just be picking up where we left off in the auction, which would be kind of cool. That might be another model idea. Remove the next token from the auction queue. So this just uses our move. So basically what we're doing is we're going to write another function to get our token from the queue, and that's going to be separate from this one. So this one is just responsible for returning the actual token ID. So it decides which token we're going to get, and then this one actually goes in and gets that and pulls it in, so that we can go ahead and use it in our current auction array. So we'll be building both of these methods next. I'm using the terms functions and methods interchangeably. It's probably a no-no. The reason I'm doing that is because of this word right here. So I keep seeing it come up. They're actually methods. They're called methods in the docs. I believe so anyway. I could be totally wrong about that. Let me just check the docs again, because they're right here. Yeah, it's methods. So they're just fun methods. Hurt myself on my chair. So we'll get the next token ID. Okay, just gonna finish writing this line and then I'll go over that. Okay, so this one returns the token ID with the highest vote count, what we're doing up here, if any. And then otherwise, it returns the token ID with the highest ID number. So what it's going to do is it is going to call another new method. Hopefully that one's pretty clear. So that function, or that method, sorry, is going to return the token ID with the highest vote count, or it's going to return nil. So what we're going to do, and this is kind of why we're splitting it up this way, is if token ID is nil, then we're just going to set it to our other new function or method, which is going to return just the highest token ID. So the reason I'm doing highest token ID is just because, like, I'm thinking back to like the launch of like CryptoKitties, where like there was a lot of emphasis around owning the legacy, like Genesis, like early IDs, like the lowest ID numbers are worth the most type of thing, right? And I mean, obviously there are other factors with CryptoKitties that are gonna weigh into the value of the token, but early on, like, that was kind of the thing. So I just figure we'll go with that. The demo example that I'm using, the NFTs are called rocks, and there's like a little modulo function in there that changes the rock type based on, like, the rock type that's being minted based on the current block number, and how that calculates out through a series of rules. So some of those rocks are going to be diamonds, and some of those rocks are going to be coal, and, you know, so on and so forth. So obviously the highest token ID thing won't always check out, but I just figured, you know, I wanted a simple fallback, so highest token ID seemed to make sense. So, and then just to focus on what this little exclamation mark here is, we're not just extremely excited about the token ID that we're returning. This, if we remove that, okay, well, I was expecting some syntax highlighting there. But when I wrote this before, I think it's because these ones are flagging at me right now. But if we remove that and everything's golden, it should actually show you an error message here saying that, hey, like, this may not actually be returning anything, but you're telling it that it does return an unsigned integer. So we're gonna add this here. It's gonna force that, like, it's a force unwrap, so it just makes sure that this actually has a value before it returns it, which in this case is good. We want that. The whole point of making this method is to ensure that we are returning an ID when we need it here, because this is all very important. Still curious to how this is actually going to play out when we get to the end of an auction, because I feel like I'm going to run myself into a bit of a wall there, but that's the joys of coding. So we'll see. So now we actually get into the meat of that function. So we're going to figure out how to get the actual ID values out of our auction queue. When we get prettier, going with Cadence, it's gonna be good times. Or like some sort of format tool. Oh man. I don't know how that'll translate on stream, because I've never done that before. It might get a little wild watching the code reformat every time I save the file, but I will lean on it so hard. So most of these, like, I did go with the access contract here just because I was thinking of it right then. I don't want anyone to be able to execute this one. I want it to be a contract function. These other ones, I am going to comb back through and kind of tweak a little bit and just get a feel for, like, access control and figure out, like, are these working the way that I think they actually are. But I'm pretty sure that there are several several methods that we're going to need, that we're going to restrict access control on, because why not? Why not? Okay, so it returns a unsigned int maybe. So this is the one that returns nil possibly, so need to let it know that it may not actually have a value. And same thing in here, we're just going to double check that the auction queue do that any way we want, but I'm just going to use not equals in this case. Am I? Yeah, no, I'm just going to use greater than, because that's what I got in my old. Not greater than, that's confusing for everything. And then we don't need those. It's just me being silly. What do I use for a message up there? I wonder, question for the team. Is there a way to reuse these prechecks, these preconditions? Can I just slam one in a method and call it all over the place? Oh, that's the Discord link. Okay. So just to let you know it's no go. Why are you angry? Oh, there's no return statement. So we're gonna return. What are we returning here? We are returning the token ID that we have not declared at all yet. So, nope. We're gonna do the var token ID. We're gonna typecast it as a uint possibly, and we're gonna put in nil, and then we are going to should use proper wording there. Uint optional with a value of nil, and then we are going to put the highest count. Just gonna typecast all these guys. It's a little cleaner. We're gonna set it to 0 for now. Typecast the counter, sure. I don't need a uint 64, but okay. No. Good habits. We are paying for storage on a blockchain, so it's, you know. How big could this auction collection be? Right. We don't know how big that counter is going to get, and we're using 64-bit everywhere else, so we're using 64-bit for the counter too. Feeling feisty, just watched hockey, and that is a uint. Alright. So while there are still tokens to loot through, if the vote count is higher than current highest count, update the current highest count be more clear about why, and set the token ID to the current token. So guess what we're gonna do here. Yeah, typecast. So, sold. We are checking to make sure that our counter is less than the length of our auction queue. So keys, if you weren't here last time, our auction queue is a dictionary, has keys and values. So our keys are our token IDs. How this works is this keys returns an array with all of our token IDs in it. So that'll give us the length of our actual auction queue. And then we're just looping through to make sure that this number is still less than this number, which lets us know that there are still items to loop through. And then we can run a check. So we got highest count is less than. And then it'll be self auction queue votes. So this is yet another dictionary. All the way up we go. So this just stores our token IDs as well as the actual votes for it. So it's just a separate dictionary. The reason we're doing this is because this one's a special type of dictionary. It's a resource dictionary, so it contains resources. It has special limitations. I really should recap resources again in another point on this stream, but essentially this dictionary is lighter, faster, more agile than this dictionary. So we're just using that to do some quick work with the metadata for the actual auction queue. So this one, what we're doing is we're just checking the value for the key of, I believe, it's counter. And I don't like that actually, 1 second. It should be auction keys. I may have mucked that up. Yeah, no, auction keys counter. Or self auction queue keys counter. It's getting a little muddy, but so we want the index at the current value for counter of the auction queue keys, which will then, of the auction queue, which will then give us the proper token ID to get the votes for this check. Whew. I think that's probably going to panic on me, or that's probably going to not like that. So I'm going to have to force unwrap that. And that just basically means like, hey, there might not be a token there. I could panic, like I could throw a panic there, but I just don't like the way that's gonna look. That'll get real messy, so we're not gonna do that. Beauty thing about code is you can change it, so if we decide to later, we can. Let me make sure I got this one right. Yeah, wow, that was a good catch. I totally blew that when I was writing that yesterday, and I would have just used the counter value there, and that wouldn't have worked. So nothing better than being just a tiny bit more self-conscious when you're coding. Just gonna copy paste because I'm a little lazy. So again, it's a pretty ugly Yeah. Queue item vote count. That's just so ugly. We gotta clean that up. And then we could panic it. Everything's good. This all just makes life better. So here we go. What I mean by that is now I can do this. So press pause there. At this. What do I want to say? I don't know. I'm just gonna say something like the auction queue is out of sync. Makes sense, right? Cool. So that just makes life so much better. Boom. Cleaner. This still looks yucky, but what can you do when you live in a shoe? I guess I can move this over a bit. I don't know if that's any better. I don't like that any better. There you go. Throw a comment in there. For the sake of it, I guess. Okay, cool. So that just kind of cleans that part up. This one, we're just going to do this token ID. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to save ourselves from one more of these, but weird. I don't know if I like that yet, but we'll figure it out. I'm mean mugging my code because I'm not quite sure if I like the way I've done this, but I don't really want to get too hung up here. Just have a quick look-see. So we are counting through our auction queue keys, which is an array of IDs. I'm not trying to rhyme. Yeah, Max, as I found out, in an embarrassingly novice question last Friday there. Thanks for joining, buddy. Good to see you. What are your thoughts on this little auction queue counter situation I'm in? I just feel like I'm really getting like in the woods here with like the I guess I spooked myself with this little iterating through these various dictionaries or these various keys, making sure I'm calling the right value, but I don't want to get too hung up on it. So I think this will be cool. Yeah, it should be good. Maybe I should just go through the auction queue votes dictionary, because that would just make more sense and keep things a little bit more consistent. Still returning the right counter there. Auction key votes. Keys counter. Could probably do auction queue. Just to keep things a little bit more consistent. Optional binding instead of panicking. So just like remove the panic and force unwrap. You gotta speak to me like I have a kindergarten education, and then I'll pick it up just fine. Yes. I don't know if I like that though. I kind of almost would rather panic it just because it gives me a clear, hey, you screwed up, boy. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it as is. I am gonna actually pop that panic. Like, why wouldn't I use it? Oh, sorry. sorry about the police. I gotta let you mod. Here, one sec. I'm gonna have a brief. Well, here, let me just pop this panic back in place. As I think I'm going to leave it that way intentionally, just because I want it to kind of scream at me right now while I'm building it. Like, you are well beyond me with this stuff, so if you have a good reason for me, like, to not do it this way, like that, like if I'm gonna definitely make my life harder, please do call me out on it. And you, by the way, are more than welcome to jump on here with me. Yeah, let me get you in here. Just gonna mess me up a little bit with the voice, with the music going. Alright, let's turn the music down a little bit. You there? Oh, it's all good. I'm just making sure I can hear you over there. I just turned the music off. Got all excited when I saw you. There we go. There we go. Do you want to get right into it, and should I send you like a live share link, or?
Yeah, I think you can share like via Discord. You can just share it.
Okay. I don't like learning how to do things when I'm on camera though, when it comes to sharing screens, because then it's like super dangerous. I don't know what you're doing over there. I don't know what this is doing, buddy. I kind of feel a little vulnerable doing it that way. Do you want to do it via like VS Code live share? Have you done that before?
Yeah, sure. Let me just set on
Okay, I'm just gonna move this off stream just in case I do something vulnerable there too. We got these fancy tools. We might as well use them, right? I'm stoked you're still up. Okay, just give me a second and I should be able to share it with you.
Okay, yeah.
There you go, popped it into Discord.
Okay.
Looks like fun things are happening. This will be my second time ever using this too, so don't feel bad if you take over my screen and things start going crazy and stuff. It's all good.
I think they'll just, like gonna use like comment section. Okay, sign in, let's share, sign in, sure, GitHub. Sure.
Yeah, it should take a sec, but I think this is goes pretty smooth. There we go. I see ya.
Ooh, perfect.
Cool. So yeah, you can actually take over and drive and stuff like that now. It's pretty funky.
Right. Yeah, so I was thinking we can do it like this way,
You just let me drink my tea. You're awesome.
like E flat, and then instead of like panicking here, we can do stuff. And else no.
Yeah, hard no. We we're good. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I totally forgot about that approach too. That's sweet.
I think if anything, you can even like break here and just like call panic and like quit. Let's quit. So slightly more options missing. And also, it's like personally, I feel this is a little bit more clean.
Yeah, I agree. Now that I've seen it, I was like I was getting worried about having a long line, but you know what? That long line is beautiful, Max, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Yeah, thanks for jumping in with the tip. So I like it. I hope we can do this more often. I'm actually stoked that you're still awake. What are you ready for bed over there?
No, actually, like woke up like half an hour before.
Oh.
My kids to sleep. So.
Wow. You're doing a reverse day today.
Yay!
Cool.
Okay, I will leave you here, and if anything, I will like, jump on your calls.
Yeah, please do, man. Yeah, hang out in the call if you want, man. Or whatever you want to do, or call me back or whatever. I'm having a hard time staying on or like staying on chat, so I'm glad I caught you.
Yeah, perfect.
What are you working on today?
I'm exploring some of the libraries for Microsoft, which is called PlayPop. So you could connect, like some Unity games.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, to like front end. So on the side of the Unity, there is this C# library. I believe C#.
Yeah.
That you can like connect via PCN, Steam, like whatever your platform have, and there is also like some libraries for JavaScript connection as well. And
Cool.
it's just horrible, man. I mean, like it's pretty cool. They abstract quite a lot of stuff, but documentation about JavaScript is just like it's almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Almost like coding in the dark, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you like, there is advantage to being the first one there, right? Like, if you can get some material out there and show other people how to do it, then all of a sudden you're the expert, right? So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Sounds like it'll be fun once you get it working.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. So I will leave you to do the code and anything.
Sounds good. Yeah, feel free to jump on me if you see me doing anything weird. So I am trying to show people how to do it. So I'd rather show them the right way, and it helps me learn too. So I really appreciate it, buddy.
Absolutely.
Alright, so Max saves the day. Yeah, that is a lot cleaner. I like it.
By the way, I also see some like code highlights on the line 146 and 134.
Yeah, I just think these are, so I still just have to write these methods. We're just kind of going from top to bottom. So I was creative, well, not creative, but I think I was a little bit smart by going ahead of the pack a little bit yesterday and just writing some code ahead. So what you don't see is my other monitor where I do have a bit of a cheat sheet that I'm working from. So now I'm just going confidently into the fog, but on the other monitor I actually have a bit of a game plan there. So I will get those written up today, and like the goal is to try to, like, this is such a beast of a contract no matter how I try to write it. Like once it gets, like, even just the auction part, but then adding the voting in. But like the goal today, I don't know if we're gonna hit it because I only do have a couple hours, but would be to like just show like the basic run through and get the basic functionality in there. So all that stuff should be working by the end of the stream.
Sounds amazing.
Appreciate it you pointing it out though. Nothing worse than gremlins when you're trying to deploy. Cool. So we're gonna go to the get highest token ID now. So this one just goes through the keys. So you're like the keys array for the auction queue, and checks to see which value there is the highest, and then returns the highest one. So again, we're going to do a quick check, make sure there's actually something in the auction queue. I'm commenting this for no good reason. But we're just going to set this initial value to 0 since we're looking for the highest token ID. Nothing is going to be lower than 0 because we don't have negative IDs for our tokens. So now we're just going to loop through the keys array, and for each ID in that array, which we're going to store in this ID variable, we're just going to check if it's greater than the token ID that we have stored. And if it is, we're going to replace the token ID that we have stored with the greater value from the array. Going to quickly. What's it?
Pop a random question?
You can pop a random question anytime you like, man.
Sure. So I'm thinking about this precondition. So, like, imagine that how you're gonna use this method right here. So you, like, if you call it somewhere, I don't know, in one of your like transaction, or maybe like somewhere down the line. And for example,
yeah, it doesn't need it.
Like, yeah, you should just like return 0. You can just like, you know, like make
Yeah.
a check on the first line. And should be sort of the same for the previous method as well. So instead you like you're returning an optional, right? So it's like optional yield.
Yeah, there is no need for a pre-check there.
You can just like return yield from there.
Yeah. Good call. Thank you. I like it.
You should like some code back there.
Hey?
I mean like if like if you go to the line 155, right? So Control C, let's keys right. Yeah. So like yeah, and if keys of length equals 0.
Then just do a return there
Yeah.
with a log saying like you're naughty.
Right.
Yeah.
And also you can slightly make this slightly shorter.
Mhm.
And this one though, I guess, option key. Oh no, that's a different one, right?
Actually, yeah, like so this is actually the exact thing that I was wondering about, that the struct versus resource thing where I was trying to build metadata for the auction queue. And that, like, what I wanted to avoid, I'm just going to scroll us up here. What I wanted to avoid was this, right, where I have auction queue prices, auction queue votes. So I've got a dictionary just for prices, a dictionary just for votes, as well as an auction queue. I noticed, like, it seems like that's kind of the way things are being done. Is there like a better way to organize things? Because it just, like, you and I are both having the same problem down there in that one method where it's like, okay, like, we're starting to get confused by which dictionary we're supposed to be using there, right? Or at least I was, right? Is there a better way to build that? Like, should I be using a struct there at least just to, like, I guess what I'm thinking is like auction queue meta, we could build like a struct for that, which would have a field for votes and a field for start price, right? And then the auction queue itself would just be a dictionary of IDs that have like an auction queue meta block or an auction queue meta struct inside them, right? I could probably build them that way.
Yeah, I think you want to do it that way, if they're like intertwined, so it's like there are always, like prices and always votes on the queue item, so like this.
Yeah, because it'll keep them in sync better that way, right? Like, it's just less of a chance for like one dictionary to get out of sync with the other two.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so maybe I will go back and do that just because I see us both floundering now, especially if both of us are going to be kind of like working on the same project. It might be a little bit more helpful to clean things up from the start.
Sure.
So maybe I'll go back up there and do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off though. I just had that question pop up, and just because you're here, I figured it would be a good time to ask it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just said that sometimes you don't really want like to panic and like break your flow like right away. Especially like when you're returning an optional, maybe just like checking through the dictionary, for example, right, or like through an array, and like your precondition says, okay, this item doesn't have something, and then we just like, okay, break the like drop this whole transaction, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's really cool that you see, okay, this number is nil here, or like some condition doesn't end up, and it just continues to work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's sometimes better to just communicate instead of just break.
yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna do that here. I'm gonna communicate. I'm gonna practice my words, using my words. Cool. What's this error that it's throwing up here then? Oh.
Yeah.
Just wants to be sticky about those brackets. Okay, cool. So what are we freaking out about then? So I'll just put this thing in here. I'm actually gonna take a breather for a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back and I'll put some thought into that custom struct for the auction queue metadata. Just curious on your end, can you hear the music still?
No, the music is kind of cut for me.
Okay.
So I guess this is only for the stream. They have the comfort of the passing.
Yeah, they have the comfort of cruising around in the DeLorean. Cool. Yeah, I figured music would be helpful, especially when it's me by myself. At least we can all nod our heads at the same time. Cool. Alright.
Yeah, last time I was thinking, to stream with music as well, but then I thought, okay, maybe this is gonna hit, like some kind of
Copyright?
what is it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's I don't know if you saw it, but the I don't know if you have Spotify, but Stream Beats Synthwave DC or DMCA Strike Safe. I don't know if I can trust that, but hey, we'll find out. I'll be the guinea pig.
Right.
Cool. Okay.
I was keen to grab, like some what is it? Dance to the Dead. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be perfect music to like code something.
Yeah. Well, you'll see like there's like a half second of something else on my stream like right when it started, and I was like, oh crap, but like it's definitely not enough to cause a problem. I switched it right away. But yeah, it was the first thing. It's like I want music, but I don't want to get in trouble. I'd like my streams to work out. So
Okay,
Alright.
we'll let you know.
Sounds good. Thanks. I'll be right back anyway.
inside of your resource, so you need to actually bring it outside. Because when you're gonna explain your resource, you're already using all this section meta stuff, so you need to this structure defined before you define your resource. Yeah, no, now it works. There was this cool like user snippets that I built, and I actually lost all of them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah. Ah. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Line 89. I know. November price. Right. Yeah, this actually the thing that you know you're trying to change something, but it might be not existing there, so you probably should go like this. Like, yeah, yeah, forcing it. No? Wait. I wonder why this works, like why this line was working just fine, but no. um. Mm-hmm. Mm. Current shrinking it down. Volts. Oh wait. It's called start price there. So yeah. Do you want to keep start price or like actual price? Yeah, it's still like forcing that properly. No, wait, what like no? Yeah. Okay. Cannot assign start price. Field has public access and still make it a publicly settable with pubset. Right. So I guess what it's telling you that like when you create a struct, yeah, it it's sort of like immutable at that moment. If you want, like to replace it, you replace the whole struct. Yeah. Okay. Then now it works. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And here should be okay. streamer paralysis. You know, like when he was totally confident of what he was doing, like before someone jumped on call. You're like, oh. Yeah. Yeah, totally. So just do whatever you feel like confident with. Yeah. Yeah. Again, let me show you like other way how you can do it. And like if I would do it, again like this optional binding is like pretty cool. Is we can do it like start price equal, and then like so. And again, if you find it, we simply just push it inside. Again, this is like probably we gonna find. Oh no, wait. We don't even need to enter. It's not gonna be an optional. No, wait. Could it be? No, probably not. Right. Yeah, sorry about it. I was just thinking, you know, like if you have like some kind of another array of IDs that, like in this case, like going this optional binding would be like slightly better because you can go to the dictionary, check if the item is there, and if it's not, you like, okay, and if it is there, then you push it. Otherwise, you just like go to the next. That was the idea, but yeah, this should work. Yeah. So yeah, right. So here again, like it's probably will. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, why does it say stuff like why doesn't like for expected trans? Okay, fine. Okay. Oh. like, what if it's just gonna say like int test? So we're not doing anything here, and it still says okay. So it's definitely not about this line. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, and now you need like person wrap here. Or like, yeah. 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 Next one. Mm-hmm. Uh, Meta? Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, I think it doesn't like it. Yeah, it's like if let's start price and then start price. And again, this is um, just a moment. Uh, yeah, would be probably better to do it like queue, queue item, and like we find it. If it's there, then we say okay, you just go and on the queue, queue item, like so. Why it doesn't like this? You forgot equal. There's a missing equal. Current. Wait. Wait a moment. I wonder how it looks on your screen now. Let me just try to reconnect because on my screen it's just like single line without all these spaces and like equal signs. Yeah. Yeah. Let me find the link again. Open. No, this one should be fine. I'm just trying to see if there's some like cache single with VXLs. And so just restart this VS Code. probably want to grab an item and then just like get it outside. So instead of like vote count, you say Q item, and inside of it you can just like get it. Yeah. I know. Yeah, so I'm just sitting here drinking some tea. Why? It's all. It's fine. I used to be like quote unquote addicted to cider when I was living in Sweden. I think I was drinking like 6 cans like every freaking day. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not your liver that's suffering; it's your like whatever like other organ that dissolves your sugar, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Mm. So I think it's gonna be optional resource, so it could not exist. Yeah, sure. Mm. Yeah, I think even like in tutorials, like using it for cases, like when you definitely just drop the transaction. So for example, if you're trying to transfer some balance that you don't really have on your wall, right? So like we just should stop there. We shouldn't really like go any farther. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. previous AI that writes code for yourself, like GPT-3. Like, yeah. Fellow human, you made an error there, and I already fixed it for you. Yeah, you can. But I think, yeah, the problem would be like if you put, no, yeah, I think remove would actually, like put nil inside of this, like now empty, like storage, let's call it like this. So like your previous case was actually good. So you don't really, yeah, 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 yeah. Let me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, like cool stuff about this optional binding. So instead of like just logging out, you can like commit events. You can do like some other stuff. You can call, I don't know, like some other method there on another resource. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. They're saying it's coming soon. Mm-hmm. No, by the way, have you tried my extension for the documentation? Ah, but it should. Yeah, I think it's all. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure. Sure. When? Show it to us. Let's find some juicy bugs in it and take advantage on the. Oh, yeah, that's really well. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to figure out where it is. Recommendation. This one? What is it? Cloud? Oh, yeah. Sending you via DM. Damn it. Yeah. Yeah, the first thing that, like, when they released the docs, I was like, okay, this is not working. Like, I don't have this table of contents. I need to scroll through. I mean, like, right now you have at least this table of contents on top, right? But the first version didn't even like have that. It was like a plain page of like really long one. I was like, okay, I need an extension for this shit. Come on. Yeah, you should press like Command Shift F. Wait, wait.
my mic. Rookie move. So this is time to start thinking about what to name this function for checking the auction status. Like, it could be check auction status. We'll start with that. Or maybe check auction time. Block time. Checks the check remaining auction time. There we go. Holy smokes. And then maybe I'll write another method that actually, I don't really need to because I've got the update method up top. I guess I could always just name it maybe update auction. Seems like a lot of thinking about what I should call something, but it's kind of important to think about it. So we're going to get the current block. We're going to subtract the start block. Let's do So we're going to get the difference between the current block height and the auction start block And if block time difference is greater than or equal to auction length in blocks, I think I called it, yeah. We are going to run update auction item. But we are also going to have to write a function or a method to settle the current auction. Yeah. That's the one that I was missing. So settle current auction will what you thinking, Max? I see you thinking over there.
Just switching back to the code.
What's that? You just switched it back?
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm not
I'm thinking if I should attack with my 2-4L or not.
if you should attack,
Yeah.
go for it, man. You got a stream going on?
Nah, just playing Magic.
I figured that's what I was gonna spy on you on the other screen. I still gotta play that game with you. We're on for tomorrow still, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Cool. Okay, well I'm gonna keep going then if I'm not doing something wrong. Yeah, 'cause that looks good. We're only gonna call this once the auction started, so there will be a current auction item. Oops. Let's write the same function again. So So, our settle current auction method is going to be responsible for, like, I feel like we're going to write the, we're going to have to do a check and, well, actually, no, we're not, because, like, we've already built the auction so that if nobody bids, that we're just going to send the token back to the, I think we've already done it, that if nobody bids, we're going to send the token back into the auction queue. It's easy to do if we haven't done that though, so I think the way that it's set up out of the box, if we didn't do that, would be so that it would return the token to the owner's collection, but we're just gonna funnel it right back into the queue, I think. My brain has decided to go to bed. So, I feel like I wrote this one already. Who cares? Yeah, okay. Wonder. How do I not have owner NFT collection? Guess we don't need it, because we're not going to do that. So how am I going to determine if there were no bids? I should store the auction start price at the start of the auction. Okay, so now I have something to compare it to. That's clear. Thank you again for the helpful tip. Okay, so that's where I'll need the reference to the NFT collection. Hey, buddy. How's your game going?
I won.
Attaboy.
Like stabilized at 6, and then I just won the game.
You were down to 6?
Yes.
Ah, fainted him out, eh? Attaboy. I knew you'd win. I knew you'd win. So, yeah, right now I'm just doing the settle current auction function using your handy optional binding again. I'm interested in why it's yelling at me for expected an optional got an unfungible NFT. Why is it expecting an optional? Because it's an if? Oh, probably it just doesn't like the way I'm dealing with the resource yet because I don't have an alternate way of intentionally moving it, right? Let's just see. Nope. Is this not a thing? No, it's a thing. That's an array.
This current action item is array?
Yeah, so that one, like, so is actually another good question for you. I did it that way just because I didn't know, like, when we start an auction, we don't have a current auction item. I like to have it in a separate, like, data structure from the auction queue because you can do things with the auction queue that you can't with the current auction item. You can't vote on the current auction item. You can vote on the tokens that are in queue, right? Doesn't mean this is the best way to handle it though. So I just figured I was basically trying to create, like, essentially I was just trying to create an optional local variable that could store a token, but I couldn't figure out how to, like, initialize an optional local variable that would store a token without a token in it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I could set it to nil, right? Okay. So this doesn't have to be an array then, which makes that stupid, right? Well, silly. We'll use the term silly. Yeah, thank you. So now I can just set this to nil. Well, would it be equals nil or would it be, we'll find out. Okay, cool. I don't know why I don't know why I was letting that hang me up, but cool. Now I have to see if it hates me for trying to access an array somewhere else in the code, but it's okay. Yeah. You are a lifesaver, bro. Cannot move nested resource. Oh. Nope.
Yeah, if you're only destroying current action item, you should just like do something with it like here as well?
So this one actually was like the placeholder for testing. Like that one, that is the case that should be good. So what we're doing there is we're trying to send it back into the auction queue if there are no bids. And then if there are bids, we're gonna end up sending it to the actual NFT collection for the highest bidder. But what I realized is I'm not storing that NFT collection reference anywhere, so I've got to put that in. So what I did was, I see some code up there too, but what I did was just temporarily destroy it here to see if we could get rid of the error, because both these cases should work, but obviously it's not liking this one then. I don't know if this is, no.
Wait. We don't even need to move it around, like, right? So if we have something here, it should just work. So we can just like this, I guess.
Yeah, good call.
Wait.
It's because it's a, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Here you go.
Yeah, I was just thinking it has something to do, because now we've set that to an optional, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's in the middle of an if statement, so I don't understand why it doesn't like this. It's expecting a boolean, and I guess it's because it's getting nil. So I guess I wonder if that's a good one for Bastion, because I mean that's a JavaScript like expectation, right? Like we're expecting type coercion to happen when it's not going to happen.
There was something about like how can we check the resources.
It's one of those things where the longer I stare at it, the better I'll fix it, I promise. Well, I mean, we're not using yeah, it's still, I mean, like the boolean, I understand the issue, I just don't understand how to deal with it. Yeah. That would be how we do it. That would be I don't know if we can do that, but that should work. And then
what does this do actually? Like I noticed like this
it's a force.
force moving.
So yeah, I think it's a force move or a force swap. It said something about it. Yeah, here. Cannot assign to resource type target. Consider force assigning or swapping. So we don't want to swap it. I don't know what, like I should probably read that message and try to understand it before I just use the force assignment. Cannot assign to resource typed target. So it's a auction, or it's a resource dictionary. So yes. So that's okay. And this is a resource. It's still hating on me for trying to move a nested resource.
Yeah, I think the problem is that could be like at this point there could be existing a resource and you're like doing something with it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, something like this.
And then destroy old token. This needs to be pair programmed.
Yeah, I think no, not here. At this moment of time, we definitely know that self current item is not nil, so you don't even need to check it because it's already fine.
Yeah. So I guess it's, oh, yeah, cause oh yeah, no, that's weird. It should have an it's because it has an ID. It's a token. Should we just pull self current auction item out into a variable and?
Wait, we can do it like again. Just let this one. If you can rename it later.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
And
I think we just need to kill the old token, like on line 245. Hold on, leave that. Oh. Like that? But not. My bad. I'll stop. I'll stop. I think try at. Oh shit, no, that's it. Or sorry, shoot, I gotta stop swearing. It's a dictionary. So remove. I think you had it right. Key. It's gonna. It's not like in the optional. You're just gonna end up in like a JavaScript loop. I'm lost. Sorry. What are we doing? So we're trying to replace whatever might be at that token ID key in the auction queue with the token. That seems pretty intense what we're doing there. It's like we're creating a token whirlpool.
So we're checking like users current item exists. We want to get the ID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to replace it inside of the action key.
Yeah, so check the ID for the current token and then remove and then just add it to the auction key.
Right, so at this moment it doesn't work. So we definitely
Hey.
right, and then we also need to self action queue with ID. We need to move what we wanted to move.
We wanted to move current auction item. Okay, and then it's still yelling at us for for the optional. It's still this nested resource thing. What does that mean? Like, is it? Because I'm not wrapping my head around how it's nested within the auction collection. I feel like I've seen this before. Like I've run into this before. Hold on one second. Yeah, I don't have the length there. I'll figure that out in a bit. it's not like I like what we've done today. Like this is making this code so much better. I'd rather break it now and like fix it and make it better than just have to go refactor it all at the end. Um so yeah, current auction item. It's just a local variable. I don't understand the nested resource thing personally. Do you?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay.
Okay, simple current action. So if current action exists, or current action item exists, and also, yeah, I'm moving my screen to
Oh. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna come down there and then I'm gonna stop. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can understand resources, consider force society and so on.
I was wondering about that. I think there's a way to free up your like control over the screen, but
Yeah, I think like it's also like one of these, in the tutorials, what was for non-fungible tokens, when we had a collection,
mhm.
we had this method where you would grab resource from within a collection and then swap it. So you kind of like abstract this moving stuff away with another method.
Yeah.
So, but okay, yeah.
So
Make it less messy.
well, I mean, like that was kind of one of the advantages, or like not. I don't want to say one of the advantages, but I did notice like a similar issue back when I was using an array for the current auction item, where like I'd try to access the value directly from the index. So like I would use, just for example, like this instead of remove at. Right, and like so this would cause a nested resource error like we're getting up top, but this was, or the remove at was just fine, right? Like that didn't cause a nested resource error. So I wonder like if there's like a special way to do it.
Let's try differently. Self function add ID. Okay, and then like swap with self current action open. And given like this y, cannot index the value should set be forwarded.
Can you hear my cat in the background?
But now we have like inside of our current item. So if this was new, so now our current action item is new.
Which is okay, because it's optional, right?
You know what? Maybe instead of like storing the resource inside of our current action item, we can just store like its ID.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that would make sense, right?
Yeah. So this way you would be able, just to reassign it easily without
All this
moving.
jumping through hoops. Yeah, I know. Like I kind of thought about that too. Like it seems like I could probably do a little bit of work to just use one data structure to hold the entire auction collection and just remove the voting functionality or whatever from the current item, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just playing. I have no idea how to structure these programs right now, so it's pretty fun. Like again, like it's great having your insight here because we've definitely cleaned things up a lot. I might have to take a look at that and think about exactly what you said, like whether it'd be smarter to just store the ID and use that like use the current ID. I'm just thinking if it's like if that's gonna, is that gonna make things much easier? Or is that just gonna help us with this one step? Because I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm thinking it's probably gonna make it like life easier because you know, like just easier to interact like in several places.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we used current action time like a couple of times based on what we see here,
Yeah.
and again, like checks here will be much more easier. Update current action item. What's here we have? Okay.
It's probably worth thinking about and refactoring. It's the beauty of these streams is they're 3 hours long and no deadlines.
Yeah, like instead of moving like resources here, you can like basically just assign the value. Like you just say, okay, here would be a new ID that you should be like worried about now.
Yeah, which makes a lot more sense. Like, yeah, no, I see what you mean because now I'm like, the resources are kind of like the prized material, right? So, like, the fewer amount of times you actually have to move them around, probably the better,
Yeah.
right? Like, that makes sense. So, if you're just playing with the metadata until the auction actually settles, then that's probably for the best, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. That gives me something to think about. I don't know. It might be an awkward time to break off the stream. I'm gonna hang out for another 10 minutes still, but
Yeah, and I'll probably just go to sleep.
yeah. I wasn't sure if you were hanging out or like if you're still up or if you were just waking up to start your day. You made it sound like you were just getting up to start the day. So.
Nope.
Oh wow. Well, thanks again for hanging out.
Yeah, it was fun. It was absolutely fun.
Yeah, same. Do you have any planned for next week? Like any streams?
Yeah, I'm thinking to actually to finish this Shadowrun stuff, but like now what I'm thinking next part would be, you know, like that fun for all this cadence and all like heavy shit, right? So
Yeah.
it's more about like setting up some UI, like showing like what's happening with the game, and could still be interesting for people, but maybe not really that directly related to flow. But yeah,
I think
maybe,
it's
yeah.
honestly I was thinking about doing a stream like just more of a fun kind of hangout stream over like the next couple of days where like it would be more about like kind of like just general projects going on. Like it doesn't even have to be flow. It would just be like the whole NFT space and what people are building and just kind of playing some games and exploring it, and hopefully we'd get a few people to maybe pop some questions into chat about what the space is actually about. But it definitely doesn't have to be like not every stream has to be a coding stream, right? It might actually be better for some non-coder folks to be able to interact with a couple of developers that are just talking about kind of the higher level stuff, right?
Yeah, we can also like grab some people from Cadence Cup, like what was like Queen Kryptonia
Yeah.
and Benny's and stuff. So they can just, you know, like explain what they were building for Cadence Cup. I think the whole team wanted to make some interviews, and like I haven't seen some of it on like after the Cadence Cup ended, so people was presenting the product, but they didn't really like, you know, give into details on like what was the thought process behind like writing the contract.
Yeah.
It would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like similar to what I did when I went through the contract for Shadowrun.
Mhm.
So just like step by step, like what did they do, like why did they go here, like what's happening. So
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to see it, right? Like I've loved the space for a couple of years, but like even at the start of the program, we don't really get a lot of visibility into the Cadence Cup projects, like from the outside looking in. I think if you were a part of the Cadence Cup, like you'd be more familiar with other people's projects and you know where to find the links. But like
sure.
within the first 2 weeks of the course, like it was actually awesome how many of those Cadence Cup projects were like flying around in the forum just for us to take a look at, right? Because like you said, it's kind of nice to see like the thought. Well, I don't see the thought process so much that went into it, but it is still inspiring looking at somebody else's code and seeing, the approaches they took to building certain things. Like the NFT moments or memories was a really cool one. That was Daniel put that one in front of me. And it was just cool to see somebody, come up with this frame idea that you could just lock tokens away in a frame. It was like a rental concept, right? So pretty cool stuff that you don't really see on other chains too. So it's that would be a pretty fun one to do.
So put it on note.
Yeah. Well, when are you planning on doing your next stream?
Yeah, just wanted to show people. I think, no, did I show it last time? What like how can I load Cadence files?
Yeah, you did. Like you did the regex trick.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you did that. It was a pretty solid demo. I mean, I remember the only downside for me was the fact that I had to keep leaving for meetings, but I left my Friday open tomorrow. But no, I mean, like I remember you and Bastion were hammering away on it for like the last hour. And you ended up getting like through, I couldn't remember what it was, but like it was like some painful issue that you were banging your head against the wall with for a little while, but I'm pretty sure you ended up where you wanted to be at the end of your stream, so everything was good.
Yeah. So like there was another small trick where like FCL provides you these args thingies that you can replace or like pass arguments to your like script and transactions.
Yeah.
But you can also do pretty much the same stuff with just regular expression. So you can alter your transaction code just like passing different values like here and there. Should also be like somewhat applicable, let's call it like this, especially in terms of like in the context of Shadowrun game, because like there you have different items inside of your inventory. So for example, like your keys and your like chest and what's not. And instead of writing the whole big transaction, you can just say, okay, now I want to get my keys.
Yeah.
This would create like grab a purple capability for you to grab like put the ID where you want it to be. You can't really do this stuff with just arguments. You will need to create a whole new transaction stuff. But like this regate stuff, you can replace quite a lot of shit.
Yeah. Sweet.
Might be interesting to showcase this one, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to show like okay, this is a map. So I'm gonna grab a map of Seattle somewhere, put some markers on it. I'm gonna design maybe some songs to it as well.
Cool.
Just to show some fun stuff.
Yeah, sounds like a good time. I mean, that's kind of like touches on what I was saying earlier about the fact that like right now, like I'm starting to get tired of running through all of like the like clicking deploy, clicking sign, and like I know I could jump into the SDK anytime, but clearly from today I still have lots to learn about Cadence. So but that being said, like the testing process is starting to get pretty painful without some sort of tooling like that. So I know that it wouldn't be like you'd still have to probably make some tweaks, but like just having a system that I could like kind of drop my contracts after I rough them out and start kind of deploying things in like more of a rapid fashion and testing out transactions and scripts, that would be awesome. So sweet. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Cool. Well, yeah.
That will probably gonna go for today. Thank you for allowing me to join your stream.
Dude, thank you for all the help, man. I think you leveled this stream up handsomely today. So have a good sleep and keep me posted. We'll play some Magic tomorrow, and we'll hopefully join forces on your next stream.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Bye.
See ya. Thanks, buddy. Alright, got that music back in for that powerful intro, or outro, I guess I should say. So yeah, that was interesting. That was really cool of Max to jump in and help out. Like clearly learned quite a bit today, and basically taking what he just mentioned about the fact that I'm really kind of jumbling things up more than I need to be by separating like the current auction item from the auction queue. So I'm gonna rethink that structure, kind of rebuild this. I am working from a repo, like I said, so I will push this stuff live as soon as it's clean enough to work through. But it's probably going to be another stream or two before I actually have this thing up and running in a sense that you can pull it and deploy it for yourself. So it's a learning process. I'm only 4 weeks in myself. It's been a lot of fun, but like huge thanks to Max for jumping in. So I mentioned him on my last stream. Max's channel is Block Trainer. You'll see him in the chat on this stream. I will also make sure I put another shout out and link to his YouTube channel. I'm also going to pop a link to the Flow Team Discord in the video description after I'm done with this. And yeah, pretty much leaving things in this awkward state for the time being. But when we fire back up, I'm not quite sure which day I'm going to do it yet. I'll just have this cleaned up in a new game plan going forward, but we're definitely still going to build this auction out. So if you hung out for the whole thing, thanks for hanging out. It's definitely a wild one. I think it was a lot of fun having Max on board. So again, one more huge thanks to him. And we'll see y'all next stream. Keep an eye on Twitter. I will post the next stream there. Take it easy, everyone. Have a nice night.